Look at you, stuck in the web of procrastination and lacking discipline. It's time to admit that you've been avoiding responsibilities and it's holding you back. Stop sugarcoating your failures with these flimsy excuses. You know very well that laziness and distractions have been ruling your life. You've become complacent with mediocrity, choosing comfort over growth. Well, guess what? Real change demands discomfort, and you must embrace it. Recognize your lack of discipline has cost you precious opportunities. The time wasted cannot be recovered, but you can make amends starting right now. Deep down, you know you have untapped potential. It's time to unleash it and stop hiding behind your procrastination as an excuse. Procrastination is often the result of fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown. It's time to confront these fears and break free. Sure, discipline might seem like a foreign concept to you right now, but it takes time to face the music and make discipline your new best friend. You've been avoiding accountability, but it's time to take responsibility for your actions. Hold yourself accountable for your progress, or the lack thereof. Feel the weight of regret for all the time wasted and opportunities missed. Let it fuel your determination to change and make the most of every moment moving forward. Change won't happen overnight, and it won't be easy. But you're not looking for easy. You are looking for growth. Embrace the process, and you'll come out stronger. Oh, look at you, drowning in a sea of indecision and inaction. Your inability to make choices or stick to a plan is pathetic. Stop trying to cover up your laziness with those pathetic excuses. Nobody buys them, not even yourself. Just think about all the potential you've wasted by wallowing in your lack of discipline. It's truly, truly sickening. You're nothing more than a slave to comfort and instant gratification. You can't even withstand the slightest bit of discomfort to achieve your goals. Your willpower is laughable. And your mind is even weaker. It's time to toughen up, Buttercup, and take control. While you're busy procrastinating, the world just keeps moving forward. Your lack of discipline is causing you to fall way behind. You've become a master of self-sabotage, always finding ways to hinder your progress. It's time to break free from this vicious cycle. Congratulations, you've built a cozy nest in the land of mediocrity. How does it feel to be just average? Or maybe below average? Way below average. You don't need coddling. You need a reality check. Stop babying yourself and face the truth. You are weak. Enough is enough. Rise from the ashes of your weaknesses and become the disciplined, proactive force you know that you can be. Or don't. And stay exactly as you are.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again. Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Welcome back to the best Tuesday night of the week, because there's only one Tuesday night of the week, but every night is the best night of the week because we made it through the day. So we have a Q&A session tonight where I have a few questions that I'll read from, but if we have any questions in the chat, those get priority. But to get us started off, we will do what we always do and go through our show agenda. So first things first, I want to say welcome to all the latest subscribers, to everyone in the chat. You all are awesome. And as you can see, I already posted a question of the night to the audience, and I'll read the question to start the show, and so you guys can think about it throughout the show. You can answer. I'll read the answers, and then at the end towards the end of the show, I will give my answer to this question. All right. So, like I said, welcome all new subscribers. Welcome everyone in the chat. Happy to have you here. Next thing, we are going to talk about our show schedule. We have our live shows Sunday afternoons at 2:15 p.m., which is software explorations, where we go through different softwares, we might be coding, we might be doing automation, we might be using Docker to install something. Like this past Sunday, we did Playwright, and we're probably going to continue with that one this coming Sunday. We were automating through Southwest Airlines. So that's Sunday afternoons, 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we do software explorations. On Tuesday nights, which is tonight at 7:15 p.m., we do a Q&A session where I am here to answer your questions, or I answer questions that you might have but you didn't even know you had, right? So I source questions and I provide you answers to those. We have tons of fun on these Tuesday nights. And then we have our Thursday nights, which we also have software explorations, but sometimes that one takes a little bit different shape. It might be more of a going through like test cases, like writing test cases, writing defects. That's what we did. We did defects and test runs last week. We'll probably continue on that, something similar to that, talk about automation and regression this coming Thursday. So that is our live show. Our live shows, it is Sundays, software explorations at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tuesdays, Q&A sessions at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Thursday nights at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for additional software explorations. All right. So that is our live show. Our pre-recorded shows are Mondays they come out at noon. Those are candid conversations where I talk to you about my thoughts about the software industry, what we have to do to advance in it, all that good stuff. And the one I thought the one for Failing Forward was good, but the one for this past Monday was that was a tough one to do, but that one was crazy. Very, very important if you want to change your trajectory of planning poorly, making bad decisions. Watch that and we can work that out. So Monday, candid conversations. Wednesdays, software explorations, concept overviews, where we're going through like different concepts. Tomorrow, we're going to be going over what functional testing is. In case you're not aware of that, what functional testing is, all of that, right? And then Fridays, we have the Bug Bite, where we review software-related industry bugs, or like we did for the BlackRock one, where we review like security loopholes. In that case, social engineering. So that is the show schedule. All right. So one more time for the pre-recorded content: Mondays, candid conversations; Wednesdays, software explorations, concept overviews; and Fridays we have the bug bite. And then throughout the week we have various clips that are released, all that good stuff. All right. So that's that. Now, the official question, I gave a abbreviated version of it, because it's in the chat, only so much space. But the so here's the question, right? You work on a tech team. Maybe you're like a data scientist, data engineer, machine learning type person, or maybe you're a QA engineer, right? You do automated testing, or maybe you're a software engineer or web developer, right? Wide range of positions you could do. I mean, there's so much more as well. Like you could be in DevOps as well, but the actual position doesn't matter that much. The situation matters, right? So you deploy code, you release something, right? And it's later in the day when you release it, and things are looking like they're working, right? But all of a sudden, you're checking and you see one error come in, right? And then you're like, okay, let's keep looking, and then like it's almost time to go home, right? You had plans for the night. Now you have another error come in, and then the errors start to grow, right? So now your team starts to investigate to see, all right, what is it that we need to do, right? They're trying to figure out what the problem is, and time is getting closer and closer to the end of your day because you might be working in different locations. Who knows what? Or they might be working later. Who knows what the case may be, right? But your team is looking into it, and you have plans, and it's getting towards the end of the day, right? Now they're trying to determine, okay, is it worthy of rolling back? Do we try to fix it now? Is it safe to leave it as it is and we'll fix it tomorrow? So they're trying to make the decision, but let's say you're cut off. Like let's say it's 5 o'clock. It's time for you to go home. You have plans at like 6:30, right? And so now it's like, all right, so it's 5:10 now, and you're still there, and they're still talking. They're still trying to figure it out, right? What do you do? That is my question to you for the night. Because the reason I have this question, right? Because so many people, they want to take a boot camp, transition to tech. It sounds all good. It sounds all great. Cool. But keep in mind, tech doesn't sleep. Technology is open 24 hours a day. Although the technologist might not be working 24 hours a day, the technology continues to work, and that's the beauty of tech, right? It's working 24 hours a day, because especially like if you have customers and clients from all over the world who are using your technology, right? So imagine something happens to Facebook at any time of the day. People are going to be impacted, and there has to be people available to fix those issues, right? So that is the situation. You have plans, and the software that you worked on, the code that you worked on, that you deployed, right? Something's wrong. You're not sure exactly what's wrong yet, but you also had plans. Think about it, and you can answer throughout the night. I'll be reading the answers. And before we continue, I just want to say hi to my friend Stephanie in the chat. Welcome to the live stream, Stephanie. So happy to have you here. All right, so we can get started with Stephanie's first answer, right? And if you as the night goes on, if you have different thoughts, share it, and we'll read it and we'll go from there. Right. So let me first put this question on the screen, just so everyone can read it. But let me make this a little bigger. Let's go like that. It's not gonna work. Let's do that. Too much text. Let's do 300. All right. So the question that is pinned to the top of the chat, answer as you come in, answer throughout the night, whatever the case may be. What do you do if you work on a tech team as a data analyst, QA, software engineer, whatever, and you deploy code, and towards the end of the day, you find an issue? You had plans after work. What do you do now? Question is pinned to the top of the chat, and just answer in the comments throughout the night. All right. So let's start off with what Stephanie says. That's a tough one. I can't say I've had the best boundaries when it comes to work, so I probably would have canceled the plans to help out, but that's not a good thing. Is it? Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Tough. No right answer. And then 100% true probably says something that I said. And this is why I like companies with unlimited PTO. It's a good trade-off for the late night emergencies. That is true, but I'll talk to you about something. We'll talk about the unlimited PTO stuff because I have an interesting take on unlimited PTO. But we'll talk about that. That'll probably be somewhere else. We'll have that conversation. All right. But we are ready to get started on the show. All right. Where are my questions? Let's move that here. All right. So let me center myself just a bit. It's not. Oh, wrong remote. That's why. I got way too many remotes over here. Let's see that remote. Oh, there it goes. All right. So we have another response. Let's read that before we get started. All right. So we have Night Canty. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the chat, Night Canty. Says, I think it depends on the level of the issue. That is a great answer. Great answer. Great answer. And we have given a set amount of time towards the issue, I think would be the best approach. Given the set amount of time towards the issue, I think would be the best approach. All right. I like that answer. Very good. Okay, cool. So, and Stephanie said, agreed, good point. Yes, that is a great point. So let's get started. And then as we have our show format, we have 5 minutes that we put on the clock per question. Usually we end up going a little bit over that. If we're lucky, we stay under. But usually we go a little bit over because we have to fully explore the topic, answer the question to the best of our ability, and then we move on from there. All right. So the first question. Right. All right, first, before I do that, let me put the clock up because we don't want any questions trying to sneak through. All right. And first question.
Another one.
All right. So this one sounds like one that we have heard before. It says, advice for becoming a manual tester. I live in the UK and I am new in general to IT and software and have never had an IT related job before. I recently completed the ISTQB foundation qualifications and I have been learning SQL queries and Python, and I'm also starting to learn Selenium automation testing. I have a degree, but it's not related to software or computers or STEM. Do you guys think I have a good chance of finding a trainee tester / QA job? And are there any other areas I should be brushing up on before looking for a job? So this sounds like a question that we have ran into a few times. I'm always intrigued when I hear about the ISTQB certification. The the test lead, he actually dropped a video today talking about certifications. And I think that the majority of experienced, seasoned, veteran QA engineers, where they kind of have the same opinion towards certifications, especially the ISTQB, where it's cool to have, but um, I've never, like, when I review resumes and interviewing, I never like gave it any weight or credence or anything like that. Um, I if you're new, right? I look more for like, if you're new to the field and let's say there is some type of entry level position or something like that, you might not have that much experience, but I will definitely look at your projects, how you code, what you code, if you've written any like sample test cases, sample defect reports, how your automation code is, things like that. Um, and then then like if especially in the entry level, then you have to answer like some type of critical thinking questions, scenario questions. Um, because here's the thing, right? With the and here's the reason that we probably don't value the certifications as much, because it's all theoretical knowledge, right? And that there, you see, they snuck in again. I didn't start the clock. All right, you know what? Clock has been started. We when this happens, all right, let's start the clock. All right, here we go. So, like I was saying before they tried to sneak one in on us, right? The reason that we probably don't value these ISTQB or these certifications as much as newer people think they're valued is because when you don't really know much about what you're doing, then you think that like getting certified is going to make you, I guess, more knowledgeable. But while it might make you more book smart, it doesn't give you that much more practical experience and practical understanding, like how to critically think through certain processes and all that good stuff, right? So that's why, like, when we when you hear that question, we're like it's cool. And I'll give you an example. When I'll ask like in certain groups, certain QA groups that I'm in, where they has like some like people who are trying to get in the field and everything like that, and I'll ask them a like an interview type question, right? And then they start giving these answers with all these big words and stuff like that. And for me, like you can see, like when I do these streams, I struggle with S's, with P's, and with words with three syllables, right? So even sometimes with words with two syllables. So it's like when they start giving all these crazy words that they got from this certification manual, that they memorize the questions that or they memorize the answers to the questions that are going to be asked on the test. And then now I ask them a question where they have to think outside of the boundaries of the test. And I'm like, well, you would like, this would become a flaw. Like you would miss this critical areas of the test that you're doing. So although you have like the fancy terminology and stuff like that, the customers who are going to be impacted, they don't care about your certifications, your fancy terminologies, all that stuff. They care about them getting their product working, and they care about not being negatively impacted, right? So that is why I can't speak for the test lead or for any other QA engineer. I can only speak for myself. But that's why I personally don't really care for these certifications. Like it's usually these government agencies who will require like their contractors to have these certifications because they think that it's like that gives you some like more knowledge or reputation or something like that. But yeah, and that's why I primarily stick to the private sector when I'm working, because we are more freer to think and move around and stuff like that, right? So that's that part of the question, right? Now the part of your question where you're asking, let's see, it says, move this to the screen, where it says, I have a degree, but it's not related to software, computers, or STEM. I mean, there's a lot of people who have a degree that's not related to software, computers, or STEM. As long as you can show like where you got your education from, right? I think that's very important. When you're going into tech, for me personally, I don't really care about the college degree per se as much as you can show where you got the education and that you are able to do the work. So like, let's say you get it from Coursera or Udemy. I would say like, all right, cool, that's great. Now show me that you can do the work. And one of the things I like about like those Udemy type courses is that it kind of walks you through how to, like, it actually gives you that knowledge on how to do the work for a low cost as well. But there's still a lot of gaps in there, and that's why it's one of the reasons that I do the work that I do, is try to fill those gaps and try to help people actually go from the theory phase to the actual practical application phase, because there's always a big gap from like how we structure our resumes, how we interview, how we prepare ourselves for like the real world of working and stuff like that. Especially if you've never been in tech before and you're trying to transition, it can be a bit challenging and overwhelming, and you can get very, very frustrated if you don't know how to properly navigate, right? Because a simple paragraph on your resume might make you not get the type of responses that you should be getting. All right, so that's that. And then, do you think I have a good chance of finding a trainee tester QA job? I don't know how it is in the UK. Right? But here, while it's like in the US, while it's possible, it is hard. And why? Like, it's hard because I'll put it like this. When I was moving to a different job or company at the beginning of this year, right? I've been working in QA for 15 years, right? And I was applying like everyone else applies, and it I guess like it might seem faster than like most other people, but it took like maybe about a month to land a position, and then another month to actually start that position. But it was a lot of applications. I had a strategy, but it was still a lot of applications, right? A lot of interviews. My day was set up like a full work day, and all the things that I was doing to be able to accomplish that, right? So if it's tough for a 15-year veteran to get a new position, right? It's going to be tough for entry level, especially nowadays. Companies are looking for more advanced QA people, right? You might be able to come in like at a more entry level type position with maybe web development, but for QA, because there's a limited amount of QAs that companies hire, like you'll have like 4 web developers or software engineers for like 1 QA position. So there's less QA positions that are available. So they're going to try to up the skill level of the QA. So that trainee tester job, and that's why I think that a lot of these boot camps they have these internships that they offer, where you're kind of like either working on a real project for them or working on like a fake site or something like that. So they can give you that internship training, but at the end of the day, it's not that real work experience, right? So I would say like just apply for everything. But those entry level jobs are so hard to come across right now. And are there any other areas I should be brushing up on before looking for a job? So I'll say this: I don't think there's anything you should ever be doing before looking for a job. Start your applications, right? Here's a suggestion. I'm not even sure why I'm sharing it on the stream, because it will definitely go in the other platform that my elite group of individuals will be part of. But I would say this: write the resume that you want, and then go and get the skills for that resume. So start applying for jobs, because let's say it takes a month to 2 months for people to start getting responses, use that, like apply and use that time to start leveling up your skills so your qualities can match the resume, and then you can articulate yourself in the job. But if you wait to get all the criteria that you need to apply, that's somebody else getting applied every single day for a job that could be yours, and you're delaying the process. All right. So that's what I would say for that. Like brushing up on your skills, create a QA portfolio. We have a video for that, or I have a video for that. Write test cases, write defects, automate, learn Selenium, learn API testing, play around with Playwright, play around with Cypress, all that type of stuff. So you can have a nice resume, even if you're not the most experienced in all of those things, right? Create like maybe 5 to 10 automated tests in those, and that way you will be able to show something. You'll be able to show some work. Because me personally, like I like to see work. At one company when I was interviewing QAs, I created a test through HackerRank where the QA applicant would have to go through that test, and based on their score, right, I would decide if I'm going to interview that person or not. And it's not even like the score like percentage is the end all be all, because then I'd go and look at their answers to see, okay, what did they struggle on, what did they do good on, and based on some of the answers, I'm like, you know what, like they might have scored like a low score, but I'm still going to interview that person because I could see something in the way that they answered the questions that I found intriguing or captivating. And, that doesn't mean that they're going to get hired, but I'd want to talk to them to get a better understanding, right? So do all those things, right? And start applying. Apply with the resume that you want to have, and then go and make that resume true, right? That is my advice for you. And I'm gonna have to refrain these type of advice because that information is gold. All right. So let's just move on from there. Okay. Let's just move on. All right. Yep, it is hard, but we will get through it. All right. So, and we're gonna win, because here we are always engineered to win. We do not believe in losing. We do not believe in defeat. We might not have it today, but we will have it soon. All right. So, where is that? Okay. So we are going to move on to our next question. You are very, very welcome. All right. So the next question.
Another one.
How to become a QA engineer? Kind of sounds similar to the previous one, but it's a little different. And I actually like this question, right? I'm a college student currently in my 3rd year of information technology, and I wish to become a software tester. What are the skill sets required to become an entry-level QA engineer? So similar but different. So the thing I like about this one is this is actually not getting that one on us. So this is actually someone who is they're kind of determined, I would say, right? Because they are they're in college right now, and they haven't even graduated yet, but they're already thinking about the roads that they're going to go into when they graduate, right? Whether that's becoming a whether they want to go into cybersecurity, to DevOps, to maybe database management, to maybe a cloud engineer, a software engineer, a web developer, or a software tester. All of that is good. The important thing is thinking about it early, right? And I'll say, like, as much as I think this is great, me personally, I would like that we as adults start to have the teenagers that we are close to or in contact to start thinking about this at an early age, right? Start molding them and setting their vision so that they don't have to make the same mistakes that we made when we were like, we went with what we were passionate about. And then when we lose that passion, right? When we lose that passion, now what? And now we want to transition into something else. And it's so much harder for us now than it would have been if we did it while we were in college, right? Typically, back in the days, entry-level jobs were meant for college graduates. However, a lot of college graduates, they went into the majors of their passion, and then so they didn't have the opportunity for those entry-level jobs that would have really would have changed their lives, right? But we can't go back in time, right? So we move on. But that's why I think this is important that as a third-year college student, you're asking this question of what you need to do, what are the skill sets required, all of that good stuff, right? And here's the good thing. Being that you are in college in IT, you already have you have a good foundation of how technology works and stuff like that. However, I'll tell you this. College does not teach you how to do QA whatsoever. So, and I've spoken to people who they just graduated college and they're like, well, I need to go take a QA course because college didn't teach me anything about QA. College is similar to getting a certification where they will give you all the theoretical knowledge, but not much practical application, right? So you end up in the same situation like if it's like taking a Udemy course, a boot camp, all that type of stuff, right? But you're young, so you can figure that out. And I'll tell you, some skill sets you want to have, right? Make sure you develop your critical thinking skills. Put yourself at another. All right, so I need to consult with Stephanie. Should I be giving this information out on it to the public, right? Because this is another gold nugget right here, right? So the way that you will develop the skill sets that you need to do anything really in life, right? But to develop your critical thinking skills, you need to put yourself in tough situations that make you have to figure a way out, right? You have to put yourself in tough situations, and then you have to find a way out of it. And through that, through the pressure of that, you're going to be using your critical thinking skills, right? Because that is to me, that's the number one thing you need for QA, for software testing, is how to navigate, how to have critical thinking skills. Because it's easy for us to go down the straight path, I'm going to use a David Goggins quote here, the path of least resistance, right? However, in software testing, there's so many different variations of things that can go wrong that you need to be able to think through those situations and like try to figure out all the things that can go wrong, right? And try to point that out to the developers so they can make adjustments and everything like that, right? But guess what? Things will still go wrong. And I'll get more into that in the question for the show that I'm asking the audience, right? But things will still go wrong. Just because you think you have all these plans in place and situations to handle. Now, what happens when things go wrong? You need to be able to work yourself out of those situations, work with the team, think critically through it, and you'll grow from there. So that is that's the number one skill. But then of course you need like the technical skills of learning automation, learning a coding language, whether you're doing Python or Java, I would. Okay, so another one, right? So I would also especially if you're getting into, if you're in college right now, right, and you're getting into and you want to go into software testing, take a web development course. That is so important because that web development course, let's say you're learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, right? Let's throw in React in there as well. maybe some database type stuff, right? That is going to be so valuable to you when you're testing. Your testing skills is going to skyrocket because you will be able to understand the code that you're reading, and when things go wrong, you'll be able to troubleshoot better. You just be more confident in what you're reporting, all that good stuff, right? So to get started, I mean, and then from there you'll learn a lot more. But to get started, I would say if you're well versed in web development, HTML, JavaScript, CSS, that makes you so much more marketable as a QA engineer. So that I'm gonna leave you at that. I can't give any more. All right. That won't work. I can't give you any more now. All right. So that is that question. All right. Let's see. Major quote. It is. I love that quote. All right. So let's see here. Let's continue the show. All right. Before I continue the show, there's an interview that this YouTuber, Tom Bailu, I think his last name is, he did with David Goggins, right? That is, I recommend that you listen to that podcast. He did there's 3 variations of it. Whichever one that you listen to, pretty much any David Goggins podcast is going to be invaluable. But I really, really I think the past few days I've listened to the one on Tom Bailu's platform maybe 5 or 6 times, right? Super, super helpful to overcome and accomplish some of the most difficult things that you might think that you're facing in your life. But it's possible. So just take that and do with it what you may. Super recommendation to listen to that. All right. So we will continue with the show. Let's see. All right. Okay, this is a good one.
Another one.
So this one is titled Engineer Conflicting with QA Tester. I'm working as a senior engineer on a client project with a QA tester from a third-party contractor. I usually take feedback from the QA team in stride. I want to write code that's robust and appreciate feedback that helps me improve my implementation. But lately, I've been struggling to work with a new QA tester who joined the team a few weeks ago. He doesn't seem to be very experienced creating isolated reports when the code fails. His details of the error are vague, making them difficult to reproduce. He lumps issues that are unrelated all together, leaving me to change code in multiple areas of the system just to get one specific requirement closed. I've asked him to lay out his testing process so I can understand what the issue is and how to address it. But he continues to give me a list of issues he identified without any parameters, recreation steps, or details of how he built his tests. He also is not capturing these issues anywhere in our tracking system, so it is up to me to track these issues, which is difficult since I'm not given any details. I'm starting to feel the strain of my day-to-day work. My calls and messages with him leave me feeling frustrated. He is an offshore resource, so time zone and language barriers definitely make communication more difficult. I'm worried if this continues, I'll start becoming hostile and curt with him, which isn't fair to anyone on the team, including him. I've been the clueless new guy before, so I want to be sympathetic and patient as best as I can. But I can't help but get frustrated whenever my work is blocked because of an error and I can't resolve it because I don't have all the information or the resources to track the problem. Am I justified for feeling this way? Is there something I can do to help make this process easier for him and me? Or do I need to change my perspective and remember that my code has flaws and I can't take it out on him, even if his feedback isn't helpful? I would be so curious to see the opinions of this question in the chat. I will get started on it, but I am curious to see what the thoughts and sentiments are towards this. Right? So all right. So what I'm going to say for this one, right, is number one, I feel bad for the software developer. He sounds or she sounds like whoever this is, right? They sound like a very, very compassionate software developer, software engineer, right? To have that much care and concern for a third party contractor in a whole country in a different, like in another part of the world in a different time zone, right? To the extent that this software engineer, right, is thinking about blaming themselves for the issues that they're having with this QA tester. I could not do it. I could not do it, right? So, and here's why I couldn't do it, right? This tester is hired through a third party company. It's not like he works directly for the company, right? And you have an expectation, for me at least, if you're going to give me a resource, I have an expectation that they're going to work a certain way. I am not the one choosing this employee to work on the team and nothing like that. This was given to me, and then now I have to like babysit, right? And then like and I ask constantly, and they're not giving me what I need, right? I don't think as a software engineer, or even as a in-house QA engineer, right? It's your job to train a third party contractor, right? Because here's what can happen, right? Here's what can happen, which has happened to me in the past, right? You'll train this contractor, and they might get better, right? And now, because they get better, they start requiring their contracting company more money, and they get pulled off that project, and they get put on another project where they make more money, and now you have to start over again at square one. So all that work that you did to train them, you just trained them for another client that of the contractor who's going to make the contractor more money and make the tester more money, and you have to do all that work over again. And that's why I wouldn't take the time to do it. If I'm hiring an in-house tester and I know that this tester is like more on the entry level, they need help and stuff like that, I would gladly work with them and build them up and all that good stuff, right? But to have that for for the contractor who's not doing their job, right? Like, I think one of the first things that you would learn in testing is how to separate issues, right? Just because you find like an issue here, it can be like 5 different things that need to be fixed, and you have to know how to organize it and all that stuff. Everything that the software engineer was talking about, no way, right? No way. That's to me, that's crazy, right? One of my models is that your job is not there to teach you how to do the work. They're hiring you to actually do the work, right? So you're supposed to gain the skills that you need on your own time so you can actually perform during the game, which is why you're working. That's the game, right? A lot of companies, like, out of their out of what they need, but also, like, I don't think they're required to provide you all this type of training and stuff like that. They do it because it's a great benefit and it helps them in the long run, right? But I don't believe that they're required to do it. And when and especially when it comes to like a contractor, right? And like now you're getting frustrated. Your work is like, honestly, I would have went to I would have, like, a long time ago. I'm like, we need a new QA person. It's not going to work out with this person, right? Like, and I would list out everything you listed here in the question, right? I would list it out saying this is the reason that this person is not working out. We need a replacement who can actually do the job the way that it is, because they're a contractor. We're not bringing them in to teach them. They should already know how to do the basics, right? So that's how I would see that. And it's like, that's one of the reasons that you have QA. Of course, you're supposed to like test your own work, the unit tests and stuff like that. But the worst code is written by people who test their own work, and that's it. The only tester you have is yourself. That's the worst code that you're gonna write. That's why you're supposed to have another. You have someone to test the application, but if they're not doing it properly, then that defeats the purpose. And the ultimate impact is going to end on your customers, your end users, and that is not acceptable. All right, so that is that question. But yeah, I'll definitely go to the powers that be. Say we need a new QA person. If you're gonna get us contractors from a third world country, we need new testers, and we go from there. All right. And Night Canty says, this sounds like an AITA post, and the QA tester is definitely doing their due diligence. You mean not doing their due diligence? Or am I don't know, maybe I misunderstood something. Let's see. All right, let's get to the next one. Check this real quick. All right, so we are on to the next one. Got it. That's what I thought. Okay, that's what I thought. All right, next one.
Another one.
So this one says, interview today. I have an interview today for a QA analyst role. If anybody is willing to help me, please private message me. So this one should be a quick one, right? Let's put our timer up. So this is a lack of preparation, right? Are you telling me that you the day that you got, like, the same day that you found out about that you're making this post is when you found out about the interview? Usually interviews are scheduled, like, you have a few days to get ready for an interview, right? It's not the day of that you're like, can anybody help me get prepared to have an interview today? Right? A lack of preparation. And that goes back to the theme of our Monday Cabinet Conversations. A lack of preparation is why we continue to lose. See, I think a lot of people, like, they like to they just like to, like, when you are able to answer a question, you just like to answer it because you can and because you have the knowledge. But I like to also address the underlying root behind why we're getting these questions. Why is the day of you're asking for help, and why haven't you been preparing all this time? Why haven't you been practicing interviews? And here's the thing. When people practice for interviews, you have to treat it like it's 100% the real thing. You have to get the pressure. Because, like, and when I do interview preparations, I go into interview mode, and it is an intense interview that I'm doing for whoever I'm doing the interview preparation for, right? But it's an intense interview because they need to feel the pressure of an interview. They need to take it seriously. So like, because I've done it with people before, and like because they might know me, right? So they come into it laughing, and I'm like, I have a stern look on my face, like because when I'm doing interviews, I don't give any. I keep a stoic look. I don't give any emotions, any type of feedback, right? I might think you're doing great, but you're not going to see it on my face, right? You might be doing terrible. You're also not going to see it on my face, and that's why it's essential to take your interviews serious, like your interview preparation seriously. If you're getting ready to, like, if you're applying and you're getting ready to start interviewing, you have to practice. You have to prepare, and it's not about, oh, I'm just reading some interview questions and all this type of stuff. No, you have to put yourself in those tough spots to answer the question that you might be comfortable with, like reciting it to yourself and stuff like that. But here's a question for you, right? If you're reading questions for an interview, right, for like interview prep, and you can answer them and you can like regurgitate those answers, but what if I take one of those questions you've practiced and I slightly modify it, right? Do you start to stumble, fall, or are you able to pivot on the spot, right? Are you able to adjust? Are you able to call an audible? And that's why it goes also back to the the certification question, right? Because when you have that linear view of this is the it's like robotic, right? This is the question, this is the answer. But if you're built like AI, where whatever question you get fed in, you can adjust it by taking it back out, right? So that's the part that matters, right? You have to prepare, and it's not preparing the day of. You like, if you try to prepare the day of, you've already lost a job. If you're not preparing now for interviewing, even if you're not getting any responses, right? If you're not preparing now, knowing what you're gonna wear, like, so if we're doing a mock interview, right, and you show up in a t-shirt, you're not serious about it. You're not serious about where you want to be. You have to be prepared at all times. Everything you do is an interview. Always be prepared, right? So, like, the day you start applying is the day you start preparing for interviews. Because what if you apply today and then you get a call tomorrow? You're not ready. And now that could have been the job for you, but because you weren't prepared, you miss out. It doesn't, like, we do so many things that go against what's in our favor because let's say your resume wasn't good, right? So now you get your resume fixed up and everything like that, but you didn't prepare for interviews. So now you start stumbling, like they ask you some basic questions, and now you're fumbling, you're stuttering, and all this, and now they're wondering, like, does this person really know the stuff that they have listed on their resumes? Because especially when I'm interviewing, right? And if I ask you something that's on your resume, and I don't really ask that much about, like, let's say you put a skill, right? About let's say you put Cypress, right? I'm not gonna drill down into like all the itty bitty pieces of Cypress and stuff like that. But if you have something listed on your job history, right? And I ask you about it, and you start to fumble and everything like that, then I'm like, I don't think this person is they're not, I don't believe them, right? It sounds shady. Because if you did it, then you should be able to articulate it. But maybe you can articulate it because you didn't properly prepare. Think about it, right? Think about it. Every day is preparation for what lies ahead. Every day is preparation for next week, next month, next year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 20 years. That's how long you have to look in advance. Because the decisions we make today will affect our future. All right. So that is that question. All righty then. What's next? All right. So this one is a little bit of an interesting one. Let's get to it.
Another one.
I found out my coworker makes more than me. How do I go about asking for a raise? As the title says, my coworkers and I got hired around the same time, so we had built a good working relationship. The scope of our roles all increased within a few months, and my coworker said that we should all be getting paid $130K for what we're doing. And I told her, I don't think we're going to give us a raise of almost twice of what we're making. And she asked me how much they're paying me, and I told her I'm making $75K. And she was surprised because she said she was getting paid $95K. Another coworker in our inner circle said she was getting paid $85K. So, all right. So now this information made me furious. Not at them, but at the company. They did have more experience than me, seeing as one was 6 years older than me and the other one is in her 50s. I'm 25. However, I don't think that's fair since we are all doing the same job. To add insult to injury, the one making $95K was let go because she was not meeting expectations, and the one making $85K quit, not sure why. I'm here putting up with the stress, and my manager says I'm doing a great job. So I think it's only fair that I get paid $95K. What would be the best way to go about asking for a raise? To put it in context, this is a business operations role at a large tech company, so I very much doubt they don't have the budget for a raise. And then they added a TLDR, which I would think the TLDR would be at the top, but it's okay. Coworkers make 10 to 20K more than me. Despite quitting or getting fired, they have more experience, but we all do the same work. How should I ask for a raise? So let's put our clock up. So I think the best way that you in particular should ask for a raise is to fix your resume and apply for a different company. What? So here's why, right? When number one, life is not fair, but I don't think how the company operates was a matter of fairness or not fairness. So that's number one. Number two, just because somebody is older than you in age doesn't mean that doesn't mean anything about experience or anything like that. What it means is the reason that people get paid more is not because of their age, it's because of their work experience, what kind of what their history is and all that stuff, right? So if this other person who's older than you and this 50-year-old who's older than you have, like, let's say 10 to 20 years of experience, then it's only natural that they would get paid more than you starting off. And you do not do the same exact job because nobody does the same exact job. Everyone has their role to play, including you, right? So for you to be making 75K and them making 85K and 95K, so does the one who's making 85K, did that one deserve to make 95K as well? Not necessarily. 25 years old, so you're like maybe 2-3 years out of college. And you're comparing yourself to people who've been working pretty much their entire lives, right? It doesn't work that way. So now you're upset because the one that was making 95K wasn't doing their job properly. And then the one that was making 85K quit. Now you're all there by yourself and the stress is on you, yada, 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 yada. See, here's a problem that I have with a lot of people, right? They don't value experience. You want to come into the tech industry with no experience, but you want to be making $100,000 a year. Whoever you got that information from, whether it was a Udemy course or whether it was a boot camp, who said, "Oh, working this role, you can get paid the price that someone who's been working in that industry for 15 years makes," starting off, it's a lie. And you knew it was a lie, but you believed it, and now you are crying about it. And this is why companies, a lot of them have laws in place where, or not laws, but rules in place where they don't allow you to share your salary with your coworkers. And this is for the reason why, because now you feel some kind of way because somebody who's like 25 years older than you is getting paid more money than you because they have more experience, but they also don't do a good job. So they got fired from their 95K job, right? You know, if you want fairness, go to the carnival. Go to the carnival if you're looking for fairness. The other thing is, it's not about what the company gave you. It's about what you can negotiate. You don't deserve anything. It's what you negotiate. Simple as that. It's all about what you can negotiate. So you think the company is doing you wrong, right? But you can leave and really stick it to them, but they'll probably hire somebody else for 75K, maybe 85K. Maybe they'll pay them 95K if they have the experience. And then you're going to be on LinkedIn making angry posts about why you're not getting contacted for a job. And it's gonna go from there. So you can't look at it that way. You gotta have a mindset shift. Just saying. I'm just saying you have to change your mindset. Get your experience, especially as a younger person. You have to get your experience. That is the true goal right there. Because once you have that experience, it makes you so much more marketable. You can maneuver better, all that good stuff. All right. So the best way if you're going to ask for a raise, you can just go and ask, right? But you might not get it. If you tell them if you tell them that your coworkers, that you know how much your coworkers were making, and you try to put them on the spot, then you might just get fired. So take it for what it's worth. All right. And we have in the chat our favorite Melissa is here. She says, "I've learned from Dan Locke, when you're being interviewed for work, always try to say what you are bringing for the company, not what the company is bringing to your life." That is 100% correct. It's about the value that you bring and not what the value you're looking for the company to bring to you. That's how life works, though. You add value into other people's lives, and then that value will be returned onto your life. But if you go around looking for value to be added to you before you add value, you're going to lose. Simple as that. All right? So thank you for that, Melissa. You are amazing. All right. So we are going to the next one.
Another one.
All right, so this one says first QA in a fast growing tech company. So I start a job next month as the first QA person in the entire company. The tech team is quite small, about 20 people, and from a tour of the company and their operations, they really don't have much documentation and only do brief manual testing on the software. So, does anyone here have good advice that they could give me to really make an impact straight away? My plan is to figure out the whole workflow of the company and learn the system really well. Then I will start creating templates for testing bugs and centralizing all documentation for this in one location. After getting the hang of testing stuff manually and documenting it, I will need to create an automated testing framework along with a CI/CD environment. This will run regression tests and smoke tests on the software. The other thing I plan on doing is to look at how the tools used can be integrated more effectively. Other than this, I'm not quite sure that what I could be doing. Thanks in advance. Great question. So, this is number one. 5 minutes up. All right. Number one, you sound like you have a good plan in place. Actually, right? It's a very good plan in place, and not too much to add to this, right? I would say you being the first QA person at the new company or at this small company, it's going to be really, really tough on you because you're not only going to be QA, you are going to wear many hats. And if anybody's who's in the chat has worked at a startup, I'm pretty sure you can testify how many hats you have to wear when you are working at a very small startup company, right? You might be doing QA, you might be doing deployments, you might be doing some sort of DevOps, you might be doing some coding. Who knows what you might be doing, right? I've heard of companies where like the CTO is right there along the developers writing the code and stuff like that, right? So it's tough. So you have very good initiatives, but I don't know if in the time frame that you're going to be able to get to most of these things, right? Because especially when you're starting up, you're trying to move fast so you can start bringing in revenue so you can be self-sufficient. So you're going to have to move fast. So I would say definitely start getting your documentation in place, right? Having a way to document, getting good test cases, right? So when you do get to start automating, you know exactly what you need to do. Always staying up to date. I think the CI/CD pipeline is going to be very useful. But I don't know if you'll be able to make that impact straight away, because it's a lot of ramping up to do. So much that you're gonna have to do. And things in small companies, they change quickly. You have to adjust. You might find yourself answering calls for clients and all that good stuff, right? Because like you said, it's a small company trying to get it off the ground, right? And if you don't get off the ground, then you might be going out of business, and we don't want that to happen, right? So, like you said, creating templates for testing bugs. And I mean, it's good for you to create a template, although you're going to be like the only person who's testing bugs, I suppose, because if you're the only QA there. But it's a good way to build for the future, to build the foundation. And I would say definitely look into getting a test case management system. That'll be very useful for having your documentations, your test cases all in one location. For when you report bugs, those bugs can be tracked in there, and then developers can go in there and they can resolve those bugs from there. I wouldn't say like putting them all over the place. Maybe you're using Jira or something. That would be a good option. And then after you get the hang of testing stuff manually and documenting it, start creating an automated framework. Yeah, that's essential for you to do. To create an automated framework, set up your CI/CD environments. Run regression tests, smoke tests. Very good, very good. The other thing I plan to do is looking into how these tools can be integrated more efficiently. I'm not sure which tools you're referring to, but that like just being more effective, being more efficient, that's always going to be your goal as a QA engineer. So definitely look into that. See what you can do, right? So that's you have a pretty good plan in place. Not much more to add to that. So shout out to you. All right. Let's continue. All right. So this next one, we are almost done for tonight, actually. Can you believe that? So here we go.
Another one.
How did you find your first QA automation role? I have worked 2 years as a manual QA tester, decided to switch to automation, completed a Java, Selenium, Appium, etc. course, and now I'm trying to find a first automation job, and it's very hard. I have seen literally 0 trainee internship positions available. Almost every job advertisement for junior to middle requires 2+ years of strict automation experience on LinkedIn and other local job websites. Of course, I am familiar with, they want you to be experienced to provide you some experience dilemma in IT, but honestly, it seems really extreme, particularly for this position. Has anyone else experienced this? How did you get through this? Any advice? They are trying to take all of my secrets from me tonight. Let's put the time up. So, there is, right. The problem is you're trying to leave one company as a manual QA tester and go to another company as an automation tester when it sounds like you do not have any actual experience or working experience working as an automation tester. The way that I got into automation is I was a QA analyst. I started off as a QA analyst, right? Making a very low amount of money. But through the way that I worked, the way that I troubleshooted, all of that stuff, right? The way that I documented, the way that I reported bugs, the way that I worked with the web engineers to resolve those bugs, how I would negotiate with them, and just have a good relationship with the people that I was working with to try to get things done in a more efficient way, done better. I was asked, I didn't go looking for it. I was asked, like, hey, we need another. And at the time, I knew absolutely nothing about automated testing, right? And I was asked, hey, would you be interested in learning about automated testing? Because we need to fill this position. We need to bring a second person on. We already have somebody who's been doing it, and we need to bring a second person on, right? So especially because that person was going on vacation for a month, and I was going to have to fill in. And once they were gone for that month, that's when everything started to crash and burn, and I had to figure it out, right? So with that being said, the best way to transition into automation, and I'm going to regret myself for sharing this information, but the best way to transition is to do it in your current role at your current company. Even if your company has automated testers, there is absolutely, and this is the problem that I had with a lot of the QA testers and analysts that I worked with a few jobs ago, right? When I was doing automation, right? Oh, we want to work with you, want to be on your team, right? Blah 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 blah, right? And I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing? Nothing. Well, how do you expect to work with me if you're not doing anything? Oh, because we don't have the software on my computer. I'm like, you just download the software and you start automating. Oh, but 5 o'clock comes and it's like beep beep and they're out, right? No, why aren't you learning? Like, why do you have to come to my team and take up the time and resources of my team for you to learn where you want to be. I'll be glad to answer a question for you, right? But you're not going to come work on my team so you can learn. No. It does not work that way. See, now you're out there and you're like,
I hate it here. I want to go home.
but you didn't do the work that you needed to do to get to where you wanted to be. To me, I don't give anybody anything. See, I can see things in people from my first interaction with them, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I want to work with that person. The way that this person spoke to me, the way that they approach me, I can see that they have that burning desire in their eye, right? They show me from way before that I even met them that they're doing the work, they're putting in effort. But then you have some other people who they're like, just teach me. I'm like, well, what did you do? Nothing. What was stopping you from installing the software on your, it's just an IDE. Installing it on your computer, installing it at home. Bring your laptop in and say, oh, I was trying this and it didn't work. And when I see that, I'm like, oh, okay, you're serious. All right, now come sit next to me. I'll stay at work an hour extra so I can make sure that you get everything set up right and you're good to go, right? Oh, let's meet up on a Saturday. Show me what you're working on, and then I can help you refine it and all that type of stuff, right? But no, you expected me to just give it to you. I don't give anything away for free. All right? It might not cost you monetarily, but it's going to cost you an effort. Right? So, the best way to do it for the company that you work for. Even if it's on your own time, that is experience that you're getting. And let me ask you a question, right? So let's say you work as a manual QA tester at a company, right? Your official title is manual QA tester, right? It's manual QA, but you write automation tests. Like, let's say just for your own sake, just so you can make your testing better, right? You write automation tests, like you took Selenium courses, you took whatever courses that you took, right? You took Java, you took Python, maybe you did Cypress or Playwright, whatever the case may be, right? You took the courses. So now you write automation tests and you write them cleanly, you write them neatly. Let's say you follow the Tech Coach Ralph channel and you say, you know what, Tech Coach Ralph, can you do a code review for me, right? Do a pull request. And I'm like, oh, sure. And I break down your code. I'm like, okay, this can be done this way. This is good. This can be done better, blah, 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 right? And now you make those adjustments and everything like that, and you apply it to your code, and now you have super clean code. You're being more efficient and everything like that, right? So now you can put on now you put on your resume, manual/automated tester at company ABC. So now, and you list what you did on your resume, right? Although your title wasn't QA engineer at that company, but does that mean you can't put some type of QA engineer for that company? Because are you going to put, here's a question for you guys when you're doing resumes. Do you put the title that you had at the company, or do you put the actual title of the job that you do, right? So just because you're listed as a manual tester, right? But if you do automated testing and everything, you have a nice robust suite and everything like that, right? Are you going to put manual tester, or are you going to put QA engineer or automated tester, whatever title you come up with, right? Which one are you going to put? And that's what I call doing the work to be where you want to be. Right? So that's that question. I think that we strategize incorrectly, and we put ourselves behind the 8 ball by not properly maneuvering. All right. So if you left your current company and now you're stuck trying to find another job, then that's gonna be tough. It's hard out there, especially for entry level, right? Especially for entry level, it is tough right now. Because especially like with the rise of all these boot camps and stuff like that. Because before people would go to college and then they would study some type of they would get into QA somehow, right? There's not QA offered in college per se, but they would go to college and somehow they would end up in QA, right? But now with the rise of these boot camps that are promising you like $90K to do manual testing, that simply doesn't exist. Like I'm gonna break it to you the hard way. That doesn't exist. A lot of money doing manual testing, it does not exist. Unless you're doing some type of manual testing in some crazy domain, right? But then even as entry level, like for you to get that position in entry, like for you to get that position in this crazy domain, this niche domain, they would have hired you like at a long time ago, and you would have been in that company for a long time, right? And that's how you would have gotten up to a lot of money. You know? But hopefully you didn't leave your current job. I would say stay there and start doing automated testing. And that way you have something to put on your resume. You have something to show. You have code. You have projects. All that good stuff. All right. So that is how we see that question. Hussam, welcome to the show. Hussam subscribed to the channel today, and I just wanted to say welcome.
I appreciate you.
So Hussam says, I had seen these people who want to give you the summary for everything, and that he would put automation testing. Very, very smart. You put the job that you actually do as your title and not the title that the company assigned to you. Because even like let's say that, because I don't even know if they're doing like a reference check, if they're able to ask like what exact position that you had over there. But let's say they call, right, and they say, oh, this person they were listed as a QA tester or a manual tester in our system, right? But for them to do that much check, that means they must have already talked to you and everything like that. If you can articulate, if you can show like, oh yeah, like they say, oh, we called and they said you were a manual tester. Like, yeah, that was my official title there. But look at all the work that I did, right? This is not manual testing. This is a lot of automation testing. Maybe you dibbled and dabbled into AWS to do some type of stuff. You have that. This is the work that I did, and this is not the work of a manual tester. This is the work of a QA engineer, right? So that's what I mean. Do the job that you want, even if you're doing it for the company who's not willing to recognize you for it. Do the job that you want because you're not doing it for them. They might be the current beneficiary, but in the long run, you will benefit more than them because a company will find the value that you bring to them, and they will bring you on. All right, and they're going to pay you handsomely or beautifully, right? So that is that. And let's get to our last question of the night. Oh, that is the same question. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me get one more question. I had a good one too. Let's see here. Let's see. Slight technical difficulties, but we will fix that. Wait a second. All right. Okay, we'll do this question because I wanted to do this question today, but I thought I wasn't going to be able to, but this is a beautiful question too. You know what? Should I do this one first or not? All right. We are going to do the other question first, the question that we have posted in the chat. I'm going to answer that. And then, which one should I do first? Let me read this chat first. Let's see. What did Melissa say? She said, sometimes people don't really know how to respond to the question, tell me about yourself. In an interview, they just talk about them and their family, their background, family, and everything. That is true. That is true. So, Melissa, if you were in an interview, right, and they said to tell them, if I was interviewing you and I said, tell me about yourself, what would your response be? Give us an example of how you would respond to that question in an interview. And trying to decide which one do I go first. All right. While we're waiting for Melissa to answer, I am going to answer the question of the night, right? And I'm going to set the stage again. So here is the situation. I'm going to put this up as well. Let's go like that. All right. So what I posted is, what would you do if you work on a tech team as like maybe a data analyst, maybe DevOps, maybe QA, maybe software engineer, web developer, whatever the case may be, right? And you deploy code towards the end of the day, right? And you find an issue. The team finds an issue, right? And you guys are troubleshooting, trying to figure out what's going on. What do you need to do next? And you had plans though to go do something, right? Whatever that might be. You had plans after work, but you're trying to figure out what do. We deployed bad code. Or not necessarily bad code, but we deployed code. There's some errors in the logs. We're trying to see the impact and everything like that. But you had plans. What do you do? So let's go with I'm gonna answer, right? And the answer that I'm gonna give like a real scenario, right? So this is what happened today, right? So it was a very smooth day, everything like that. And we deployed some code that we've been meaning to deploy for the past few days. And so everything working, everything is just peachy, right? And I'm like, oh, today was a good day. And then as soon as I said today was a good day, one of the developers are like, I see some errors in the log. We're like, what? So we start looking into the errors and everything like that, and we're like, what is the actual impact, right? And we're trying to figure it out. We're saying, okay, maybe we can push a fix, but we're still trying to figure out the actual error, all this good stuff, right? And so the question is, what do you do in that situation? See, the way that I see it, right, is I'm part of the team. We're all part of the team. So we're going to figure it out. We're going to work together. I'm not going to abandon my teammates because of whatever particular reason, right? And like Knight said, it depends on the severity of the issue, what's happening and everything like that, right? So we can start planning like, okay, is this worthy of a rollback? Is it something that is not really hurting and we're going to leave it and then, work on it tomorrow? All this type of stuff. But the key is that you don't. Here's how I see it, right? I applied to work for you, the company, right? And with the team that I'm working on, right? That that team that I'm on, right? Like we have goals, we have plans, we have like what we're supposed to be doing, and at the same, and also in addition, right? The company is paying me for my service. So I asked myself, right, what's more important to me? The plans that I had or doing a good job? And I think as a team, it's up to us to decide what that good job is. And I personally can't abandon my team when we are trying to fix an issue, right? Um, a lot of times we talk about like work life balance and all that type of stuff. To me, and this is just to me, maybe I see things differently, maybe I'm wired differently, but the balance starts for me when the job is done. I don't stop when I have something else to do or when I'm tired or something. I stop when it's done. The same way that I try to be meticulous in the things that I do outside of work and just the way that I work, I don't stop when like it has to be finished, right? My professor always quotes. I think it's a Kobe Bryant quote, right? It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Kobe Bryant. It's like, job not done, right? We don't like. I cannot stop until the job is done, and that for me is how I believe that I continue to add the most value to my coworkers, to the company, etc. And that is how I've been able to like just propel myself higher and higher and higher. In every like one of the greatest feelings, like, and I am not good with with taking compliments because for me, I just work, right? But like when your coworkers, they're like, oh man, I just wish I could like make another one of you, right? Like that's a great feeling. But I don't do it for that. I just do it because of I just want to see things work, especially as QA. Like and the issue that happened today, right? It's like this. Everything looks like it's working fine, and in the testing, right? In our test, like all of our unit tests pass, all of our automated tests pass. Everything is working fine, right? However, when things go to production, there's so many things that the ways that customers can do things that you just don't have in like you don't have tests for. You just don't have it because you're thinking about, okay, these are the scenarios of where things can possibly go wrong. We create tests around that, but then there's so many things because in a production environment, there's so much different data that's flowing that you can't see everything, right? So the best you can try to do is mitigate. So that's what happens, right? But in the question is for me, I'm going to ride with my team. So I'm going to go back to Stephanie's answer. He says, that's a tough one. I can't say that I've had the best boundaries when it comes to work. So I probably would have canceled the plans to help out, but that's not a good thing. See, me, I think I personally think that that's not a problem. I mean, of course, it depends on the plans and the severity of the plans, and like I would say, like make like talk to the team to see like what's the plan. Like try to figure out a resolution, right? But I can't say that you're wrong for saying like, especially like you are a major contributor to the team, right? Because I don't know if you've heard, but like there's posts where people talking about like, oh, QA is not valued and stuff like that, nothing like that. But to me, the reason that people start like feel these sentiments is because they don't put themselves as part of the team. They try to act like QA is like an offshoot, like oh yeah, let's not forget QA. But to be successful in QA, you have to put yourself as part of the team. You have to make your voice heard. And that's why I don't I don't think that I don't think that what you're saying here is a bad boundary. I think that's what gives you the opportunity to skyrocket above the rest of the people who would just go say, "Oh, we'll just you guys figure it out. I have something to do. I gotta go." I think that's what gives you the opportunity to stand out and to just skyrocket. So that's what I think. All right. Let me see the chat. And I think we're going to let me see. I think I'll save the last question for the next one. So let's go through the chat real quick, right? So Melissa says, with your experience, can you give me some advice like how to answer the question? Please tell me about yourself. So honestly, with tell me about yourself, I would go with so that particular question is more it's not about like your personal life and all that type of stuff. It's more about like tell me about your work history, your job history, like what you're good at, things like that. It's pretty much the introduction to your resume, your objective. So it's like you're selling yourself, saying this is the reason that you guys chose to interview me. This is the value that I'm going to bring, and this is what you expect to get out of this interview. And by the end of the interview, you are going to make me an offer on the spot. I mean, they're not going to make you an offer on the spot, but that's how you want to interview with the mindset, like with giving them all the reasons that they want to give you that. Like as soon as they finish up that interview, they're ready to move on to the next step with you. That's what the tell me about yourself is. You have to sell yourself to say that I am the only person who is qualified for this job. Forget about all the other people you spoke to that you're thinking about. It's my job. I'm taking this job. All right. So let's go to the next one. Hussam says, how can you tell if the person you're interviewing has fake experience or not a real automation tester? So that is a good question. When I interview, so the first thing is, a lot of times we'll ask for like technical projects where we'll give you a few days, excuse me, we'll give you a few days to like put together some type of coding project and everything like that. Then we'll review the code and give you some feedback and everything like that. But then for me, like in any industry that I've been, I said feedback. We're not that we give you feedback. We'll if we like the project, if we think that it was a good job, then we'll have an actual interview with you where you can talk about the project, why you did it this way, what were your thoughts and everything like that. And it's a technical interview, right? But the way that I've done interviews in the past is I have your resume, and I will mix in technical questions. I'll mix in your resume type questions. And the way that I ask technical questions, right? I'm not just asking you like, okay, what is an interface and what is like some random Java question, right? No, I'm going to ask you specific technical questions related to automation on if you had this, right? The situation, right? How would you handle it through your code or something like that? Or if you had this issue, what would you do? Trying to see how you think, to see if what you're saying matches the level that it would be at. I'm and then when I'm going down through the interview, through the resume, I'm just things that stand out to me, right? Because if there's nothing on your resume that stands out to me, I'm not going to interview you. That's just I mean, sometimes that's out of my control, who gets interviewed, who doesn't get interviewed. But if I'm the one who's like choosing, okay, like when I was choosing, okay, I want to interview this person, I want to interview that person, et cetera, I'm going down your resume and I'm like, oh, I want to hear more about this. I want to hear more about that. So that when we're interviewing and so asking questions and everything like that. And I'm like, okay, so I see you did this at this company. Can you tell me more about that? And if you start to fumble and you start to stumble and you're not sure, you can't articulate yourself well, because then you say, oh, I did this and that and that. I'm like, oh, okay, then how did you do this? And then like, and I'm like, all right, you're out of here. I don't believe you. You might be telling the truth, but I am more inclined not to believe than to believe. I'm a QA tester. We question everything, right? I'm a QA engineer. I question everything, right? So if you start fumbling, I'm like, I don't think so, right? And that's why, like, I'll ask you a question about what's on the resume, and then based on your answer, I'll find another question for you, and you need to be able to articulate it. And if you start to, I'm like, all right, I don't know, it's not good for me, and then you like, oh, sorry to inform you, we're deciding not to move on with you. All right, and let's keep going. How to deal with anger at work? Can you specify what type of anger you're referring to? And I will be glad to add some context to that. I'm not sure what type of anger you're referring to, so let me know the type of anger, and I'll answer for you, right? My friend Stephanie says, agreed. Good way to word that when it's done. I told you. I told you. See, I didn't think your answer was. I didn't think your answer was bad. I didn't think what you would do was bad. Right? I think that we are conditioned to try to add balance in the wrong spots when we're trying to get somewhere, we're trying to win, and then we get taken off course by different things. I don't know. But I say we work hard now so we can play hard later. So I don't know. That's what I say. Let's see. Anything. All right. So Husam says, how to keep yourself updated with QA. Well, the number one way is you are subscribed to Tech Coach Ralph and you follow along in our software explorations live streams, because we are always doing cool stuff. From the other day, we set up a test case management system, and then on the following live stream, we created some test cases. Then we did some working on defects. We've done different Docker stuff through AWS, Selenium Grid, AWS Device Farm. We've done so many things that if you just had a quarter of the thing that we did on your resume, your job prospects would go up so much, right? So here we are engineered to win always and forever. We work, right? We have fun, because I've heard people say, "Oh, tech. I don't know if I could do tech. It seems boring." And all this stuff, but tell me, aren't you guys having a good time tonight? Aren't you guys having a good time tonight?
It's time to do. Let's go!
Right? I'm having a great time, and I am so thankful to have you guys here with me. So, how do you keep yourself updated? Like you also, like, you read books, you read articles. I'd say here. No, I'm not gonna. All right, I'll share this tip. Right, get Robert C. Martin's books on clean code, or the Clean series. Right, those books, like, I'm a QA engineer, but those books have been invaluable to me. Right, read those books, apply it to the way that you work and everything like that, and it'll be very, very helpful to you. And like I said, follow along. Like the pre-recorded stuff, those are cool, those are great and everything like that. The Q&A sessions, those are fun, but those software exploration live streams, if you can follow along, or even if you don't follow along completely and then you go back and you watch them and you actually implement those things, what's the most important part is that you get that experience, that pressure. You're working on your mind to be able to think differently, to be able to think outside the box, and that is what is going to take you to new heights. Like you just won't even like the way that you're able to think of stuff on the fly, right? Like when I'm talking to developers, right, and we're talking, and they have an idea like, oh, it would be cool to do this. My mind starts clicking, or I'm like, okay, how can we do this? And then on the fly, I'm like, oh, I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh, maybe we could do something like this, right? Or maybe we could do something like that. And they're like, oh yeah, yeah. I'll tell you this. So many times that I've been working with a developer, and they'll be like, oh, I want to do this, but I either don't have the time or I'm not sure. I'm not too familiar with this. I'm like, okay, no problem. I got it. And then I take it and I start doing my QA DevOps type magic. And I'm like, all right, this is what I got. And they're like, oh wow, this is amazing. Like this is so helpful. Now this unleashes us to be able to do A, B, and C. And that is the type of value that you like that you're looking to bring. And for the people who are going to be working with me one-on-one, that is the type of value that I'm going to make sure you bring into your organization, your teammates, and then you'll see that it'll be reciprocated to you, and it'll be making you more marketable, so you can start jumping and you can start like making way more money and having way more fun in doing the things that you do. All right, so that's that. Let's see what else we have. All right, so Hussam says about anger, like a common conflict that can arise between quality assurance and developers, resolve around whether a reported issue is a valid bug or not. So I will tell you that you should never have anger when like between the QA and the developers, right? You're a team, and there's no need to have anger or nothing like that. Like we're going to work it out, because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, what's the number one goal? I want to know, what do you think is the number one goal at the end of the day? Whether you're in QA, whether you're a developer, whether you're a product manager, whether you are a whatever your role is, what is the number one goal? Anybody can answer, right? Anybody can answer, right? That number one goal, that is the North Star. The North Star is what we all set our vision on and what we're working towards. If we can all put our feelings and our egos and all of that aside, right? Close. I'm gonna give you this, but that's not exactly it. But you're very close. But it's not exactly it. I'll give you one more try though. Anybody wants to take another guess? Anybody want to take another guess? Because you can have great software, but that doesn't achieve the goal. Close, but still not it, but close. I'm gonna also give you I'll take one more guess. See, and I'm happy I asked this question. Nope. That's not it. All right, I'm gonna tell you the answer, right? The number one goal that'll put all of this problem aside, right? Because you can have good software. Nope. Not even that, right? The number one goal is customer satisfaction. That's it. Because everyone can be like, you all can be working to meet the requirements. You can all work to have good quality. You can have a successful product launch, good software, all of that. Like all of that should make up customer satisfaction. But if the customer is not satisfied, none of those things matter. A good user experience. That is the whole company's number one goal, is to have good customer satisfaction, good customer experience, and everything else will fall into place. So now to go back to your question, Hussam, a conflict between quality assurance and developers, right? What could the conflict be about? Because if a reported bug is valid or not, we can talk about it, right? But what is the customer impact? That is always like, so today when we were dealing with the issue, I'm like, and we're trying to decide what we're going to do. And I'm like, all right, so what is the customer impact? Right? If we leave this for the night and we come and pick it up tomorrow for this thing that's really affecting like one customer for the most part, right? And it's like barely like a very small part of it, right? So minimal. Like, what is the customer impact? Is this something that we want to push forward now? Is it something that we want to roll back? Or is it like the worst that's happening? Because everything is still working technically, right? It's not a bad user experience. Do we just like, you know? So it's at the end of the day, if you're thinking about the customer, like everything is based on the customer. The customers are our bosses, right? So that's why I'm like, there's no room for anger. There's no room for conflict. There can be disagreements. There can be discussion. But for me, like, I'll put it like this, right? As a QA engineer, I'll report if I report a bug, and then because here's what's gonna happen: we report a bug. If it's within the story, then we'll talk about it and we'll try to fix it within the story. If it's like a sub defect, but if it's like a bug that's not found within working in a story, and I put it on the backlog, right? And I say, okay, I think this should be prioritized. So let's talk about it. Now we bring it up to the team and we say, okay, this is why I think that this is important. And now let's get feedback from the team. We are a team. We're going to decide on it together. And if they say that like, oh, I don't think it's impactful because A, B, C, and D, and I say, well, because of C, D, E, and F, I think that we should work on it. Da 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 da. And what I'm willing to do as a QA engineer, if I'm not convincing enough, if I can't sell it enough, if I can't negotiate it enough, I'm saying, okay, cool. Like, let's not close it for now, right? Let's just shelf it, right? And we'll see if there's any issues that come up with it, right? And let's give it about a month in the backlog. And if nothing happens to it, then I'm like, all right, cool. Let's close it. It's not impactful, right? Because I'm thinking about the impact on the customer. But let's say we leave it, and then next week, this is hurting a customer. I'm like, hey, we're having these incidents happening here because of this. We should revisit it. We should bring it back, and we should look into it some more. And because now I have evidence on why this could actually be a bug, right? So there's no need for anger. Like, if they don't want to fix it now, it's not the end of the world, because maybe it doesn't need to be fixed. We can just put it to the side and keep moving forward. Right? So that is why I said the customer satisfaction, customer impact is the number one thing. Everything that you guys said were great answers, but they lead to that North Star. They're on the path to that North Star. All right? Great job, you guys. I got you with that one, huh, Stephanie? Yeah. What keeps you motivated? What keeps me motivated? It's a desire to be the best at anything that I put my hands on. Right? There are some things that I might want to do, but I purposely choose not to do it because I know that with my mindset and my personality, I'm going to have to invest so much in it that I don't have the capacity to dedicate my time to it, right? I'll give you a quick example. When I do like in jiu-jitsu, right? There's two types of jiu-jitsu, right? There's one where you have like a full uniform on, and there's another one where they call it no gi, right? The full uniform is called the gi. And the other one is no-gi, where you don't have like the full uniform. You might have like a shirt, which they call a rash guard, and some shorts, right? And you work that way. I can't, like, I've done a few no-gi classes and all, right? But I can't bring myself to commit to it because number one, we only have it like once a week. But number two, if I was to dedicate myself to it, it would take a lot out of me because I would have to put myself in the position to be the best. Of course, there's always going to be better people who are better than you and things like that. But I would want to work to be the best. And I just don't have that capacity. And that's why I stay away from it, right? They're always asking me, oh, when are you going to come to a no-gi class? When are you going to come to a no-gi class? All this type of stuff. And I'm like, I'll do one here and there, but I just can't put my heart into it because I don't have the capacity to. And if I did do it, it just I would feel like I'm not giving it my all. And if I'm not going to give it my all, I can't do it. All right. So that's what keeps me motivated to do the best job possible, to be the best. All right. Let's see. Have you ever worked on a project with no documentation? No, I haven't. I was thinking about at one of the companies that I work for, they actually did have documentation, although it was in a very, very poorly, it was a terrible test case management system, which I ended up having them upgraded. But if you work in a project with no documentation, well, there's only no more documentation until you write the first documentation. And now there's documentation, and now you can continue to write more and more documentation. If there's no documentation, it's on you to write it. You're the QA person or whatever your position is. Write the documentation, and that adds value to you because now you know how to write certain documentation. You know how to do this. You know how to do that. It is super like use everything as an opportunity to get better. Like I can't stress that enough. Use everything that you do as an opportunity to get better. And once you do that, the value that you bring to your organization, to your coworkers, to the customers, you will see it come back to you. It might not be right away, but it will come back to you. All right. Let's see. And that was our rapid round, apparently, our unplanned rapid round. All right. So I hope that you enjoyed the show. I certainly had a great time. So I'm gonna
winning. You the best. I appreciate you.
All right. So no more questions for tonight. We are done. We are at 9:30. Perfect timing. So I want to thank everyone who was here tonight. I want to thank Stephanie for rocking with me tonight. I want to thank Hussam with all your amazing questions. I hope you come back again every Tuesday night. Keep the questions coming. I had a great time. But like I said, for your question about how to get better and everything, I would say come to the Thursday night shows and the Sunday afternoon shows, because that is like that value that you're going to get from like actually seeing the mindset. And this is why like I don't do much code preparation for it, because I want you to see how my mind works when I'm developing automation stuff, when I'm learning and stuff like that. How like I go through like trials and I'm like, okay, why is this not working? And it's like when you're doing it on a live stream and something doesn't work, you're like, oh, it looks bad. But I'm like, no, it's supposed to look bad. It's supposed to give you that real, like I want you to see how you figure things out in real time in the real world, right? So that is the and that's why I say, like, you know, this is fun, right? But you have to put your hard hat on, and you need to come to Thursday night and Sunday afternoons so you can follow along. Even if you don't do it right then and there, you know, after the show, take some, like throughout the week, you know, go back. And I mean, there's between Sunday and Thursday, you have a few days to catch up. And then you have between Thursday and Sunday again to do what we do on Thursday nights, right? Do the work. Get your hands dirty. Make mistakes. Because even if you follow what I do, it's still not going to work exactly the same way on your computer. So you have to do the work. And then you can come to the next show with questions about like, oh, this didn't work. I'm stuck here, whatever the case may be. And then you can also reach out to me and all that good stuff, right? And we can figure it out. But those shows are super important for your career growth. This is a fun show. We answer questions. They're very important questions that we're answering, but we know we have fun with it, all that type of stuff. But I can't stress it enough. Thursday nights and Sunday afternoons, right? So that is that. And we are going to wrap up. And Hassan said, thanks, man. Really had a great time. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
And Stephanie, woohoo, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
We the best.
All right. So we are wrapping it up for tonight. I had a great time. Thank you so much, Stephanie, Hussam, Melissa, Knight, everyone else who was here, who didn't put in the chat. I wish you had spoken in the chat because I would have loved to interact with you as well. But we will be back again Thursday night. Look out for our software explorations tomorrow dropping, talking about, what are we talking about? Functional testing, right? Look out for that premiering at noon tomorrow. But until then, my friends, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful night.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Hear me, warriors of the North. Today we have tasted the sweet nectar of victory. Our foes are defeated, and their lands are now bowed before us. The gods themselves have favored our glorious deeds on this glorious day. We have shed blood, sweat, and tears to claim this land. Our relentless spirit, our unyielding determination, these are the very essence of our people. Let's believe our ancestors rejoice in the halls of Valhalla. For today, we have added to their eternal glory. Our victories will echo throughout the ages, and our names will be etched in the annals of history. But let us not forget the price we paid, the brothers and sisters we lost. They now feast in the hall of our forefathers, watching over us with pride. Their sacrifice has paved the way for this moment of triumph. As we celebrate this conquest, let us also remember that our journey is far from over. More land awaits our conquest, more battles upon us forth, and the fire in our hearts burn ever brighter, for there is no limit to what we can achieve. To those who dare stand against us, let them tremble in fear, for they shall witness the fury of the northern storm, the wrath of the untamed barbarians. Today we celebrate our victory. Tomorrow, we set our sights on new horizons, uncharted land where our banners will fly high. We are Vikings, we're barbarians, we are masters of conquest.
They ain't believing us. We the best. I appreciate you.